Welcome to today's 5-minute Bible study in the book of Deuteronomy. Today we are concluding chapter 3 of this book. Now Moses has been rehearsing for the Israelites the history of their wilderness wanderings. How they spent the 40 years wandering in the wilderness, how they have now moved up on the east side of the Jordan River and are prepared to cross into the promised land. He also reminded them of how God had already given them possession of the land of the Amorites on the east side of the Jordan, the land of Sihon the king and of Og, the king of Bashan. They'd conquered that land, that will be part of their possession. But now Joshua is about to lead them across the Jordan to take possession of the full of the promised land. Now as he concludes this little historical review, Moses gives a commission to Joshua. A charge to him. Moses wanted to go into the promised land, but you remember God had told him, you're not going to take them in. You're going to die on this side of the river. You are allowed to see the promised land, but it's Joshua who will take them in. And notice the final charge that Moses wants to give to Joshua. We're in chapter 3, verse 21. So I commanded Joshua, you have seen with your own eyes all that the Lord your God has done to these two kings. Those are the king Sihon and the king Og, the Amorite kings they had conquered on the east side of the Jordan. You've seen what the Lord your God has done to these two kings. The Lord will do the same to all the kingdoms over there where you are going across the Jordan. Do not be afraid of them, for the Lord your God himself will fight for you. So Joshua is told that just as you have seen God give us the victory over Sihon and over Og, king of Bashan, just as you've seen God give this land on the east side of the Jordan into our possession, when we cross the river, none of the kings over there will be able to withstand you. The same God who gave you the victory here will give you the victory over there. So be courageous. Don't be afraid. Keep your faith in God. For you got to understand, God himself will fight for you. You see, your victory is not going to be in your own military strength or your own strategies or your own ingenuity. No, your strength is in the strength of God. God himself will lead your armies. He will give you the victory. So be courageous. Have faith. Remembering what God has done, know that he will do it for you in the days to come. You will come into possession of the promised land. And then the chapter ends in verse 28. Commission Joshua, this is what the Lord says to Moses. Commission Joshua, encourage him, strengthen him, for he will lead this people across. He will cause them to inherit the land that you will see. You see, Moses is not going to cross the land himself, but he's going to go up on the mountain, look across the Jordan, and see the promised land. And God is saying, but you commission Joshua, encourage him, strengthen him, get him ready, for he will lead the people in. And all the land you see, he will lead them to take possession of it. What a glorious thought to Moses that he then gave to Joshua and to all the people. Because God has been faithful in the past, and he has been, you can trust he will be faithful in the future. You will come into possession of the promised land. God will do for you exactly as he has promised he would do. God is faithful. His word is true. He will give you the promised land. Now this ends chapter 3, which ends the first section of the book of Deuteronomy. Those first 3 chapters, Moses was kind of rehearsing their history, reminding them where they've come from, how they got to this point, and now they're to be prepared to cross over. Now from chapters 4 and onward, he's going to talk more about how they should live as the people of God. He's going to remind them of the covenant. He's going to remind them of the laws of God and how they are to live as a faithful people. Once you cross the Jordan and come into possession of the land, I'm going to instruct you in how God's people ought to live. And so the rest of the book is going to deal with a rehearsal of the law, rehearsal of the 10 Commandments, and a reminder of how God's people ought to live. We'll begin looking at that tomorrow as we begin in chapter 4. So join us next time for our 5-minute Bible study in the book of Deuteronomy.